Welcome to Creator Upload, your Creator Economy podcast. I'm Lauren Schnipper, live from Cannes.
And I'm Joshua Cohen, also live from Cannes.
Now we're going to maybe look there and maybe look there, and we don't really know what's happening. But we are in France. You are glistening.
We're in the same room
We're in
in
the
France.
same room in France. It's like I'm in France, but I could be anywhere. It's really weird because I'm just in an awkward position with you in a room again. So this is exciting, Josh.
And for long Creator Upload listeners, this has been maybe the second, third, fourth time only Lauren and I have been in the same room together
it's
recording.
Like fourth or fifth, but yes, like once a year, basically, we do this.
Yeah.
And that's plenty.
It's less awkward than it has been.
Now you've just made it really awkward. Like it was, and now it's more. Can we talk about how I kind of want to talk about what happened right before we started recording. So Josh, of course, is here. You've been here longer than I am. I just got here today. You've been here for a few days.
TubeFilter is an official media partner for the creator track here at the 72nd annual Cannes Lions.
Second year of the official creator track.
Yes.
And he, of course, is bunking, if you will, with Drew Baldwin, who is his co-founder. And he was supposed to be here. And then I get a call saying that he's locked Drew in, not out, folks, inside the apartment that they're sharing. So he had to go and rescue him. And then, but no, he was going to make it on time or a little late because they were going to scoot here in Drew's scooter that he's rented or maybe owns in the south of France. One never knows. And he showed up, and the only way I could describe how you looked when you finally showed up is, I think, wet is the word that I was using. Like glistening, like freshly, like fresh, like shiny and fresh.
That's right. It is humid here in Cannes.
It turns out it is humid in Cannes. Yes. And it was a rough one for you. And we have a lot. This is real people. We're walking by. This is what's happening. Anyway, that's been my experience thus far at Cannes. We're gonna really talk about like yours, mine experience probably next week, right?
Yes, we should.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of news, a lot of creator activity here.
Yeah.
It's really been an exciting time.
Yes. And so, but more importantly, this week, we're going to interview a bunch of people, some from brands, some from agencies. Hi, I again don't know where to look. It's awkward. We're going to interview them. There's going to be like 4 or 5 people. I don't even know. We're going to get that going in a second. Then you'll see Josh is going to move next to me. For those of you watching this on video, there's going to be some moving around. There's going to be a Perrier sort of can, and there's not going to be a Perrier can. I don't know. These are things I'm guessing. And then we're going to get that going. And then we will come back to you next week with all of our thoughts. But mostly, I'm just looking for foie gras and rosé. How many cigarettes have you smoked since you've been here?
0. And insights from all these fantastic individuals we're about to speak to.
Yes. All right. So let's just get that started, and enough of us. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Ed Davidson, welcome to Creator Upload. Ed Davidson is the Chief Growth Officer for Cannes Lions International Festival with the International. I just put that in there. Is that a word that...
That is true, yeah.
Okay.
So Cannes Lions International Festival.
Okay, great. Okay, we're gonna just keep going. We're rolling. With huge global audiences and record numbers of entries for the prestigious Cannes Lions Award this year, the team are focused on growing a larger creator audience, and Ed tells how that is happening. Ed is most excited by new intersections between creativity, brands, entertainment, and technology, while also passionate about creating high-performing teams. As the Chief Growth Officer for Lions, Ed is focused on creating and implementing a sustainable and long-term growth strategy in line with the Lions' vision. So excited you're here. We have somebody official. Does that sound like you? That's you. Okay, great. Your people wrote great things about you. So we're excited to have somebody officially who is with the festival here.
Thank you.
So want to dig into that. But like, how do you specifically work and think about working with creators? And get closer to the mic so we can...
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we've always, over the last 15 years or so, looked at new adjacent parts of the industry that's shifting and changing as really dynamic market. So creators increasingly are customers, so the brand side and the agency side were talking to us and saying, we're spending an increasing amount of time and fast looking at this.
Yep.
Can we bring it to the festival so we can debate it and convene around it? So that was the starting point. And there was a few creator businesses at the festival, sort of like 2018 that started to be a sort of burgeoning community. So we were talking to them too. So it was just a case of our customers and our community coming to us and saying, this is coming
happening.
up hot.
Yeah.
We need to see this reflected here. That was the starting point.
So this is, I think, the second year of the official creator track. So what made you guys decide to finally pull the trigger last year and obviously go even deeper this year? Obviously, I'm assuming it went well.
It was awesome, yeah. And this year, just super proud of what the team have done. I think it reached that point where the amount of work. So if you think Lions, we're just obsessed with the work at the awards.
Yeah.
That's the part of the festival that's been going for 72 years, and everything ties back to it. We were seeing so much work being done that was either creator first or had a creator element to it, and that was being reflected in the judging rooms. To a point, the winners, but also again, our traditional community coming to us and saying this is a really important part of the mix now.
Yeah.
So it just reached that tipping point where it's like this has to be here now. This is the time to bring it to life at the festival. There was also creators starting to come here and take a look around, either independently or with a brand, an agency, one of the networks, and taking a look and then coming to us and being like, what is this?
Right.
And how can we be more involved, be represented? So there was just a burgeoning group of early adopters, if you like.
Yeah.
They were coming and saying, we're really interested in this. We don't know where we fit in yet. We'd like to fit in. Can you help us? That was.
So I'm going to sort of test your sort of Cannes Lions, history here. Has there been another moment in this, you said 72-year history, where there was, you might call creators a disruptor of like, just changing the way people are doing business? I mean, would you say this is equivalent to like print to TV, radio, like where do you think this sort of plays in the sort of historical context of like advertising in general and Cannes Lions specifically?
Yeah, I think you just have to look at global advertising spend shifts and metrics. We publish some of those ourselves to see that is evident. And if you look back over the decades, it will absolutely align to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. I mean, even in my time here, I've been here for sort of 12 years or so.
Oh, wow.
And before that, we were talking about a festival that was largely creative agency side, but the market's changed so much and is so dynamic. So in my time here, you've seen, I was here just as the social platforms at the time that went on to become the businesses that they are today were starting to engage with the industry. And then this festival, we've seen consultancies create creative arms, entertainment businesses come here. But I think the really big shift here was brands coming around 15 years or so ago and wanting to look at the work again and see what great looked like. They're investing so much of their marketing budget in this space, so they wanted to come and look like, okay, I know what I do and I see bits of others, but I really want to spend time knowing like what's working for people either in my vertical or adjacent market verticals. So it's happened a lot, I think, at Cannes Lions, but in the industry. I think creators is a significant one. I think that's why we're committed to it in the long term and decided to make something real and tangible for it because it feels like a really significant moment.
I'm sure that was a big conversation to make it a real thing too. Like that wasn't overnight.
No, it took, in honesty, it takes years because you're speaking to these new businesses that come and do adopt early and they want to go at 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And we're going, we just need to understand because there's other trends, I won't name any today, or things that come along that's like, we could build for this, but actually it's maybe not a new community or shift that is going to stick around for a really long time that we should build a new product or idea for. It's just something that's going to be around for a few years and then it'll just sort of merge into everything else.
I think you should definitely name it. Don't you think you should name it?
I hope that I said that because I actually can't remember one. I probably will remember one in a minute.
Okay.
But I think maybe, retail media is the other super high growth space in terms of spend in advertising. And we've chosen to date to not do something like we have done for creators for that space. But they are here very much. And so they're represented here. You would have seen Instacart and Amazon and all that side of that market here, but we didn't build a new thing for them. And some of that comes down to the nuance of creator, and we really felt we could do something specific.
Right.
So creators, I always say it like this, and people respond well to it, so I'll say it. You guys might think it's lame, but
we'll let you know.
Creators, when I spoke to them during the research phase, were almost like I've randomly found myself in this industry, the marketing, creative marketing industry. And it's confusing.
Yeah.
I was just making content that I loved making, and suddenly I need to make a business out of it, and I need to be part of this. And we're like, okay, we can actually help with that. We can help people build a community here, give them a home base like we do here, and learn steadily and in a helpful way. So we felt like, okay, we can actually help you. And the same on the brand side, the platform side, the agency side. It was like, this is new, it's coming up hot, as I said at the start. We felt like, oh, we can bring you together
Right.
in a way that maybe no one else can right now. So that's why we decided to build for it versus something like retail at the moment. It was like, I think the festival already supports you as is because you're big business already.
So Ed, it seems like you guys started this creator track because you got certain inputs from the ecosystem and saw where the spend is going, and you needed a response to that and to represent that here at Cannes. What do you think that by doing that, that represents to the industry at large?
I think one of the additional things was that creators were creatives, and that everything to our core is creative. So one of the big things and reasons when we were speaking to them that shone through, that made it an easy answer for us, was this is about creativity. These are creative people. We've got to get them in. I think to the industry at large, I touched on it a bit, but this is super relevant right now and increasingly relevant and important to all the folks that are here. So brands have been building at the festival year after year after year. There's a lot of brands here now, and the creator spend from brands is just growing and growing and growing, as you guys know, and more brands are embracing it and seeing its importance. So huge for them to have a space where they can have those gnarly conversations about the challenges of working with a really nascent thing, but is coming up really high. So CMOs are having to sign off and make really big decisions on something that's new, that is constantly shifting, with a group that have not been in big business before, and it's new to working with big business. Super helpful for them. Agencies are having to understand, how do I integrate creators into our work? Is it something where it's a larger campaign? Where do we integrate creator? Where do we bring them into that creative process? Is it from the start? Do we hire creators internally? So last year and this year, there's a lot of that conversation on stage, but also here, there, and everywhere, just amongst the week in meetings and things like that. And then we have, we've long worked with the platforms, and so for those guys too, it's great to have them here. It adds another element for them that they can cover during the week. So, and they can really sort of bring that to life for everyone because they have such great relationships with the creators. So a great opportunity for them. So the entire ecosystem, it had relevance, it had importance. So it was great for them and it was great for us because it had creativity at the heart of it, which is everything we do.
And then what kind of conversations are you having this year in reference to creators that you didn't even have even just 1 year ago?
Yeah. I think there's one thing is the volume. Last year it was like, for us, but the industry, I think there were more creators here and it was important, but it wasn't everywhere. This year, I think it's everywhere. Every conversation I'm having, from C-suite to a student who's come for the first time, that's the topic they want to talk to me about at the moment in my conversations. So I think it's the volume for me is ramped up this year. And I think that just speaks to the shifts and importance of this space in this industry. I think the second one is, for me, Lions at large is very committed to being global, to being diverse, and it has a long history of doing so across the awards and the delegation. What's really cool for me on Creator this year is we have loads of continents covered. So yesterday I did a sort of group discussion with 10 creators from across Africa, across the continent. That wouldn't have happened last year. That's, we deliberately committed to trying to make that happen, and it has happened. That's new. We've got speakers from the Middle East. We've got speakers from Brazil. We've got attendees from New Zealand, you name it, Kazakhstan, and that is super important to us. So that feels new this year, having those conversations for the first time and understanding how different their challenges are to the major markets.
Of course.
US, UK, I think is fascinating. So that's the newness, I think, this year.
And then in 3 to 5 years, what kind of conversations do you anticipate having, or what kind of conversations would you like to have in 3 to 5 years here?
Me personally, I think I mentioned earlier how important the awards and the work is to us. That's the heartbeat of this. I would love it to see if there was just a huge amount of creator first work winning Lions and setting standards. And I think what I'm really interested in is this idea that we talk about it the idea of, and the industry does, of creative excellence and creative effectiveness. So in creator, what does great really look like from a creative perspective? That's the part that I'd really like to build up in terms of conversation here and what you see in the awards. I find a lot of creators who are like, we do the piece of work, we never really get that deep, rich feedback of like, what did you think of this thing I spent so long doing, that I'm so passionate about, that's creative? I'd like to see that build over coming years. So that's the bit that's really we're passionate about trying to support, I'd say.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you.
excited to be here, and you have a job to do, so we'll let you go to it.
Who knows what I'm up to next?
Absolutely.
Could be anything.
Anything.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ed.
you
This
so
is
much.
great.
Thank you. It's a massive pleasure.
Welcome Val DiFebo, who is a recognized leader in the advertising industry, a CEO of DNY. She has been the driving force behind evolving DNY, formerly Deutsch New York, into the powerhouse it is today. She has relentlessly pushed the agency forward, redefining its offerings to stay ahead in ever-evolving industry. This past year, Val led DNY's strategic evolution, launching SOCI Studio, a digitally native creator-led content hub offering quick turn solutions. Excited to hear about that. Under her leadership, DNY has earned industry accolades for its groundbreaking work and inclusive culture. She has spearheaded partnerships with brands such as Johnson & Johnson, Kenvue, Microsoft, IKEA, Procter & Gamble, Samsung, Pfizer, Novartis, PNC Bank, Sherwin-Williams, and the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Her expertise is highly sought after. Welcome so much. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming on Creator Upload. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you for asking me to come.
So, yes. So I want to just start with the basics, like how you specifically work with creators. It sounds like you've been doing a lot very recently, but if you could just let us sort of know how you work with them.
You know, I would say going back many, many years, we've always been interested in the creative aspect of this business, right? And so creators have always been at our table, but I think when we talk about creators now, it's a very different conversation, right? There are people who have made themselves from nothing. There are people who have started from scratch and brought ideas to the table. And most of the time, they're not in the center of the conversation. So the way we work with creators now is we've put them right at the center. We created this offering that we call SOCI Studio. And SOCI Studio is creator-led, all creators in the offering. It's not sort of plucking agency people with traditional backgrounds and sticking them in there and say they do SOCI now. That's not, or they do content now. This is, we look for different kinds of people. So they're really at the center of this offering inside the agency. And it's, and they have a seat at the table. And our chief creator officer leads it, and she has a creator background from Mac, and she was a creator. So when we brought her to the agency, we doubled down on basically, being able to come to market with something authentic in the creator space.
So what does that look like? So a brand comes to you and they want like a holistic campaign with, involving social. So you're sort of like, is it depending on the brand, how involved this sort of social, is it SOCI Studio?
It's SOCI, yeah.
SOCI Studio
it
is,
SOCI.
Like who works with this sort of creator team and who doesn't, or are they involved in everything?
So we have two different things happen. Some clients come in through the traditional side and they want traditional campaigns and they want us to bring our creators to the table. So one of the things we did recently is on a shoot for one of our big clients, we had the creators in from the beginning talking about how we could capture content before and at the shoot so that we were literally creating the content at the same time we were creating the traditional advertising. And then when we showed it to them, they were like, we're going with it. It's fantastic. We love it.
Great.
So that comes from sort of what I would call the legacy side of the agency.
So, and you're kind of, dare I say, introducing this a little bit and educating people in that realm.
Yes. I think letting people know the people who know us as a legacy traditional creative shop, we're letting them know that we have this offering.
Got it.
And introducing them to the people who, the resumes they have or the CVs they have, they're very different than the people we've had at the agency for a long time. So when we introduce them, they go, oh, I got it. Let's try that. So that's great. And that's one stream or one avenue. The other is when we literally go out and pitch new clients. So we pitched one and we just got it about a week ago. We went in and said, this is what we do. And it's a SOCI Studio, and we explained it to them. And they said, amazing because we're not allowed to hire another advertising agency. But we're allowed to hire a content shop or someone who does, and this isn't just a content shop, it really is a studio led by creators. So they were so excited. They introduced us to all these different, they have different offerings within their client organization. And they brought 14 different people to the table and said, how can each division pony up and use these folks at SOCI Studio? So it's been great because it's a door opener on one side and it's an added value on the other side. So we're
Got it.
excited about both ways that's working for us right now.
Got it. So many questions, and I know we don't have a million.
Okay.
But let's focus on Cannes for a minute.
Okay.
Would love to understand why you think creators have become sort of a focal point at Cannes. Like, is this your first time coming to sort of Cannes in general, and specifically as it relates to creators, and why do you think it's so important?
So not my first time at Cannes.
Yeah.
I've been coming to Cannes for a long time, probably 10 years, maybe skipped a year here or there. But I think it feels very different for a lot of reasons. But it is my first time coming to the Creator Studio that we spoke at this morning. And I think it's, well, I wanted to say legit, but I won't say that. I actually think it's a really perceptive on part of Cannes to say creators are at the base of what's happening, right? Yeah. They're authentic. They're relating to customers in a new way, or clients in a new way, or brands in a new way. And for them to start to create a series and programming that I think is for creators, first of all, makes sense to teach the brands on one side, to educate the agencies on the other side, but more importantly, to have a forum for creators to meet each other and meet all these other people and start networking and show what they can do or talk about what they can do. So I love that there's this whole new part of Cannes.
I love it.
Yeah, awesome. I'm excited. I think it's great.
Val, thank you so much for being here. This has been great so
Thanks,
far.
Josh.
What kind of conversations are you having now that you wouldn't even have had just 1 year ago?
A couple of different ones. I will tell you that, last year we were having conversations about AI, but they're different this year. And it's probably because AI has evolved. And so there are new concerns, but there are also new opportunities. And so I think if I bucket the things I'm hearing or talking about, I would say AI has taken on a new, a new lens, a new language almost to talk about. And there's some people who are nervous about AI and what it's going to do to creativity and what it's going to do to the workforce. But the people who are forward thinking think, how can I use it to my advantage, right? What am I going to do? It's here.
Yep.
How do I use it to make something better, to add value or whatever? And I like those conversations. And I was at Digital Dogfight last night.
Oh.
Did you guys know about that?
No.
It's really fun. People take two different sides of an issue. AI was one of them. They had, is AI right for strategy or creative? And it's really interesting because people take two different sides of the same argument.
Okay.
And they bring data to the table and they argue, and then everyone votes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. But
I love that.
But the great part is you have two experts bringing their opinions to the table, and this is the best part. They're both valid.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So you just have to think about what side you're on. So I love those AI conversations.
So where did you land? What did you say? It was AI digital. What did they say?
What did they say?
I mean, where did they land? Wait, who did you go for?
Well,
it's a longer conversation.
It's a longer conversation, but I will say the strategy proponent was talking about how AI can't come up with insights. AI can come up with the information and the data so that a human mind still can come up with what is an insight for creators or for creatives, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the creative person was saying, but excuse my French, any moron with a phone thinks they're a creative now or a creator because they can channel AI and they can do anything. They think they can do anything.
Yeah.
But what the prompts you put in, what you put in is what you get out. So if you're not a creative person to start with, you're probably not getting great creative from AI.
Right.
So it's all just interesting conversation around
this.
AI.
No, so
I love it too. I'm really
so fascinating.
And when you look to the future of how to structure an agency and what you want to offer, it's a good conversation to have.
100%.
But the other thing, I think this morning we were talking to there were a lot of creators in the audience. And their questions were really interesting because they were about getting jobs in organizations where people say they want creators, but then they don't trust them, or they're not really letting them do the thing that they hired them for.
This is the whole thing. That's the
Yeah.
yeah.
So they were like, how do you break that barrier?
Yeah.
You know, what's some advice? And those are a lot of the conversations we're having. It's like, I'm a creator. This is what I do. They said they like this. They want to
Right.
hire me for
Right.
this. And then I can't make any traction.
They don't let me do my thing. Yeah.
And
yeah.
not only that, I'm not bringing my people in here. Like,
Yeah.
I know other creatives, but I'm not bringing them to a place where they're not respected or they can't make things,
Yeah.
right? We want to make things.
Yeah.
So those are two sort of big areas where I think we're having good chats.
I
At
love
least
that.
I am.
I love that.
And then I think, especially running an agency, you have to be very forward thinking. What kind of conversations do you think we're going to be having in 3 to 5 years here at Cannes?
Oh my gosh.
Just what do you hope for?
Yeah, what do you hope for?
Come on, Val.
What do I hope for?
Yeah.
You know, I hope that I don't know. I hope that I don't know what's out there, to be honest. But I will. But I'll. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if 3 years ago I would have had the word creator in my vocabulary. You guys did because you've been in the space for over 5 years. But to me,
More
that
like
was
20. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so sorry.
I mean, I just want to.
That's kind of a new.
Yeah.
That's kind of a new idea inside
Yeah.
of an agency.
Yeah.
And I think when you're taking what the clients are asking for and trying to figure out how an agency can offer it is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because the clients don't ask for creators.
Right.
They want to know, well, they mostly ask for influencers or, you know, what can I do in social as a social first idea.
Yeah.
And when you have to kind of ladder that up and think about what kind of people do you need to create these ideas. 3 to 5 years from now, I hope we're talking about how we've all used AI to make ourselves smarter and better, and we're coming up with new ideas. The thing I worry a little bit about is as people are relying more on AI, it'll start to be vanilla. Like everything will start to feel and look the same. And that takes people like us to look at ideas and look at work and generate work that doesn't feel like everything else that's out there.
Awesome.
So that's what I hope.
No, I love it. This was great. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on.
for having
Enjoy the
me.
rest of your can.
I hope I see you guys out there.
Absolutely, yeah. Shina Zuffer, thank you so much for coming on Creator Upload live from Cannes. This is so exciting. I'm going to do a brief intro on you. So, and I'm going to read this because it's so extensive that I can't. And tell me how this is. You're an executive at the Next Gen practice of UTA Marketing. You were the former co-founder and chief marketing officer at Juve Consulting, or is it JUV?
Juve Consulting.
Juve Consulting, which was acquired by UTA in March 2024. You oversee new business, thought leadership, and community building with talent and brands at UTA Marketing and Next Gen. You have authored Gen Z Yellow papers at the company, ranging from topics on Gen Z Yellow to the future of Web Z, and oversee your weekly trends newsletter called The Screenshot. This is so exciting. And you have a subscriber base of more than 5,000 business professionals. Amazing. Very excited that you're here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me in beautiful Cannes.
Amazing. So just to get us kicked off, how do you specifically work with creators?
Well, creators are some of my best friends,
Great.
and it's a joy and a pleasure to just be in company with them, to learn with them, to laugh with them, and spend time with them. But our practice really was born out of, and our company was born out of this need to talk about young people with their voices actually in the room. So instead of talking about us, talk directly to us was the ethos of what we did. And we started this business to help brands better understand the perspective of Gen Z, straight from the voices of Gen Z. And as the creator economy has risen and creators have literally been in the content and cultural zeitgeist for the past decade and even before then, we found this really unique place of getting to go to these industry events and be the only other young people that other creators were at. So instantly, we just became friends to bond over the fact that we were two young people in a room where everyone else didn't really look like us. And from there, over the course of the past few years, our friends have become founders, creators, musicians, change makers. We've been really blessed and grateful to learn from them and with them. So our relationship to creators is, yes, we get to work with them on branded campaigns and influencer marketing and social media for brands themselves, but also get to know them intimately and personally with the things that they're seeing happening in the world on their own content platforms with their taxes, to just help them and be a lending voice if we can. But our relationship to creators has become a lot more intimate from having friends as creators, but also to help sometimes facilitate brand deals with people we know and people that we don't know as well.
Got it. Okay. So why do you think that creators have become such a focal point at Cannes? Is this your first year here?
This is my third time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you were here. So last year was sort of the first
It's
official
a huge
year.
moment, yeah.
And so I would love to hear about like sort of the differences and why you feel like they're even doubling down even more.
Absolutely. We go to a lot of conferences, a lot of moments, and I know friends of mine that were creators that were like, I will do anything to go to Cannes. And that's because we're in the south of France and it's beautiful. And last year, we actually brought a cohort of creators for EOS's first ever brand and influencer trip. So we curated a villa, we had creators come into the space, we did a creator brunch, we also play some creators for speaking engagements, and we do a program called ZCon, which is the first ever conference with only Gen Z speakers. We do a version of that in Cannes called ZCan. So we did a full day of programming only with Gen Z speakers. So a lot of the people, and if you ask Google Gemini, why were there so many creators at Cannes in 2024, it'll say UT and XGen, because we brought this amazing contingent of creators, but also people that were on the ground. We placed them to come to events and experiences and get to do guest listing for some brands like Spotify while we're at Cannes. So I think part of it was because we made a very concerted effort after we know that the official program and the team at Cannes was going to think about creators to have them on the ground and do things. But when we talked to EOS, for example, the reason why we brought creators was because we intimately knew this was a moment and a place people wanted to come. And I think a lot of times when you think about the conference ecosystem or where brands and marketers are showing up, it's not fun and exciting. You don't have an itinerary, you don't have an agenda, you have nothing else of what's going on. And I think for Cannes in particular, creators have become the next evolution of brand ambassadors, of thought leaders, but also of friends. I think followers and people that follow creators don't feel like they're fans from afar, but they feel like they're actually friends with the creators. We just did our session with Jake Shane, who's amazing and is a great friend of ours. And people came up and were like, I am obsessed with your content and this relates to me for these following reasons. I loved what you posted. And it feels like they know everything happening in his life. And that's the piece that I think is so unique with creators. They have such a large affinity. And young people that are coming to Cannes, particularly those that are here or that are students, came to every session that we did with creators and were like, it's so nice to see you and talk to you. Like everything you said resonated so much with us because that's a massive community here of young people that doesn't even get the space sometimes to feel like they're in the loop of what's happening and seeing creators democratize their access to Cannes to them.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Do you feel like last year in Cannes was a little bit about just sort of almost introducing the cohort to kind of brands? Is this year, are the conversations like more like, okay, brands know what creators are, now it's time to get to work? Or like, I imagine we're still early days.
Definitely early days for sure, but I think it's an incredible sign that we were even seeing this many creators this year. I think last year it was more so we want to get some big names and thought leaders that we recognize, and even if our kids don't know them. And the other piece of it was creators that would actually want to be here because they have an understanding what Cannes Lion and brands and everyone being here means. I think this year, yes, we have amazing creators that are very well known in the legacy media zeitgeist and in the cultural ecosystem, but also there's cohorts of smaller creators or comparatively that are here that have massive communities and fandom around them, that are known for their lifestyle content, that are known for being really funny and comedic, that are actually attending and coming to events and not just speaking. So I think there's a difference, right? What is the call to action for a creator to come here? Is it because you're speaking on a panel and then leaving? Or is it because you're actually going to maybe speak or attend an event and then stay the whole week and really experience everything and then organically connect with brands, organically meet people? I think the magic of Cannes itself is when you walk down the Croisette, you will literally run into people that you never see in your hometown or where you actually are, but you're reconnecting with them here in this beautiful backdrop. And for creators, it's now becoming the same, or they might see the same people again and again and recognize them, brands, fellow other creators, friends, people, internet besties that they now get to meet here. So I think it's definitely early days, but this time it's been nice to see some of the more spontaneity for creators rather than just, I'm going to fly in, fly out and just speak and that's it.
Yeah.
What conversations are you having now at Cannes that you weren't even having 1 year ago?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I'm having a lot of, I think from a meta perspective, I'm thinking a lot about how the cultural ecosystem is evolving when it comes to media and what does new age media actually look like. Like, I actually think we're not in the death of print media. Like, I'm very close to Willa Bennett, and we do this partnership with Cosmopolitan magazine, where Willa's the editor-in-chief of 17 and Cosmo, where we highlight the top trends, brands, and creators of the year. And we announce it at ZCon, we do Cosmo Awards, and the last year that we did ZCon, we did a pass the mic moment. So when creators were highlighted, someone who was a role model or an older figure, seasoned person in their life actually passed the baton and handed them their award. So it's an intergenerational moment that we brought together. But in doing that thought leadership, a lot of our conversation was that creators don't always even get access to places that feel gatekept that are traditional institutions. Media, right, is one of those places. Maybe engagements with brands for really large-scale contracts. All these things that are a lot more difficult to negotiate. And part of what we wanted to do was to say we want more creator voices actually at the forefront. And we also want to identify people that we know are really relevant to us, but the average person or average marketer won't know who they are. And in part of that partnership, as we were curating the creator list and the brand list and the trends, one of the things that I've been talking a lot even to Willa and the Hearst team about is how do we think about the content pipeline from digital to in-person to print to physical. So this phygital pipeline, right? And in the digital world, you see content that
Sorry, the
phygital, like physical to physical digital.
I'd never heard that one before.
Okay,
I
well,
like it.
The future is phygital. That's what I believe in.
Oh my God, I love a phygital
but
moment.
if you're seeing content online digitally, whether it's social content, a creator, anything,
Yeah.
how do you take that more static moment and make it dynamic in person,
Yeah.
in the real world, in the physical world? And I think content plays a massive role in that, right? Even if you're seeing social content that Cosmopolitan magazine is going to post online, people and creators want to be the centerfold. Like
Right.
it's back. You want something tangible. You want to be able to touch and feel it, and you want to be a cover star. And I think the same is happening in the social ecosystem. That now there's short form content and TV shows that people watch for hours on end, and it feels like you're watching a TV show. And sometimes those TikTok shows actually do become TV shows or actually get funded by a production studio or become something bigger. We saw this with Benny Drama and Overcompensating. We've seen this with Boy Room that Adam Faison and Gymnasium have started, and now Amazon picked up the show to actually refix and to actually change the rooms that these messy boys have that you're watching, and then Amazon will actually fix and renovate the whole space for them. So I think it's a really exciting time to actually converge media in general and see what does social media actually mean for us and what does content look like for us. And I'm particularly interested how that translates in legacy media and also in the digital space.
I think it's just really interesting because from the sort of like what I'm hearing is behind all of this too is like, I'm going to argue that you're of a different generation as we are, as Josh and I, and Josh is a lot older than me. But anyway, the point is that like I think there is this notion of our generation and older that like all these kids are spending this time on the phone, therefore death of media and this and that. And what I'm hearing from you is actually like your generation really wants kind of both, right? And they really want to have these bigger traditional kind of media moments, whether it's TV, whether it's print. And so I think that's really interesting. If that is the case, then it has to sort of translate into time spent too, right? You know what I mean? So it's like you have
Absolutely.
to sort of, is it cake or eat it too? Or it's like if they really want that, they got to watch the shows and they got to buy the magazines.
You have
and
to, right? It's like you have to know what's actually relevant, right? I think right now we spend so much media buying on billboards and out of home and traditional TV. I'm not saying don't do it. It's like very exciting for a creator. Whenever a creator's on a billboard, they always post it on their Instagram. They're so excited to see it
of course.
in the physical space. But that means that was also attached to social content, maybe something, an in-person activation where their friends, family, fans followers could actually come and be in community with them. So it feels like it's a full pipeline experience, something that's actually very intentional. And I think sometimes we think one-offs are enough, especially as brand marketers, that I have a huge media spend, got a great big voice, and they did this thing for me. That's the headline, when in reality, those smaller micro moments, something that actually builds up and more touch points over a longer period of time, especially with creators, is like what we recommend our brands to do as well, right? Actually become friends, and you as a brand marketer can like get the creator's number, manager's number, and actually engage with them and tell them like, I want to know what it is that would make this partnership ideal for you and how we can make that happen. It should be a symbiotic relationship, and sometimes it feels like there's a power dynamic. But creators are oftentimes willing to say, this is how I feel about the brief, this is how I want it edited. And as marketers, we're fixated on sometimes the wrong KPIs and the wrong metrics, but if we were able to think about it a little bit more thoughtfully and intentionally, and also to do things that make us stop, like what would make you stop in your tracks, and how could you do that based on the small budget or brief or whatever you have? How do we actually be a lot more nimble and agile rather than thinking that really big names and larger partnerships are the only ways that we can engage with creators meaningfully?
And then what do you foresee the conversations you're going to have in 3 to 5 years here at Cannes?
Predict the future for us right
I was like,
now.
am I gonna? Is this like a psychic reading? Like, are you guys gonna like
Yeah, it
pay me
is.
like
I
$20?
hear your generation knows how to do
You're
that.
hearing a little bit of it. I'm very behind on my astrology.
What would you hope that the next like 3 to 5 years looks like at Cannes as it relates to creators?
We're in this beautiful, space and with incredibly impressive and important people. And I think the older I've gotten, I feel very grateful and privileged to be in the rooms that I'm in. I'm someone who's the first generation daughter of immigrants, so the first in my family to go to school, and I don't take it lightly that I've been very blessed to be where I am, that, we got to do this work and I get to learn from the people around me. And I think in general, you're seeing this rise in dark humor and absurdity, and people wanting to really escape from their day-to-day lives. When you look at the world around you, it feels like the world is burning, and honestly it is. And whenever I'm even speaking or doing moments, like I always ask people, what's bringing you joy? If I'm moderating a session, usually the last question I say is like, what's bringing you joy? What's giving you hope? And I would hope that, 3 to 5 years from now, we get to be in more spaces where you get to bring your whole self to your workplace and wherever you are, right? Whether it's your identity, whether it's what's on your mind. And if someone asks you, how are you doing? You actually can be a little bit more honest and saying, yeah, I'm good, and moving past it. And I think working for as long as we have, we're very blessed and grateful that we're surrounded by people that feel like we're our colleagues and our coworkers are friends, and we know enough about each other. But I think brands also have a place to play in that. If you're going to celebrate joy for your consumers, what does it look like to celebrate joy in the places that have it the least? So I hope that, as we're navigating changes in politics and culture everywhere, that we get to celebrate more moments of joy, whether it's hopecore and TikTok videos of cats becoming more popular, or actually convening in community to break bread with people that you don't always get to see or don't even think alike. I hope we can see more moments of joy, community, and empathy that brands play into, and creators and all of us get to be a part of as well.
That's amazing. I think that's a great place to sort of wrap it. That was incredible. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your can.
Thank you so much, and enjoy it, guys.
It's a really beautiful sentiment. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Sarah Potter, welcome to Creator Upload. You are an award-winning, results-driven leader for strategic and culture insights and creativity. Sarah joined Unilever in April 2020 after a decade working the agency side with FTSE 100 brands such as Google, Visa, and Emirates. Sarah has helped scale up influencer marketing and PR across Dove's top markets and led social-first end-to-end creator marketing campaigns such as Share the First. She was a part of the in-house team that launched Turn Your Back, winning over 30 industry awards, including a Cannes Lions Grand Prix, recognized as PR Week's top 25 most influential women in communications in 2025. She is equal parts firefighter, storyteller, and fame driver with a passion for creating a world where women uplift and empower each other. I mean, welcome. I don't know that we need to do anything else. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Want to just start with the basics and sort of how you work with creators. We'd love to hear about that.
Of course. No, and just as I'm super excited to be in Cannes this year.
Yeah.
I first came to Cannes in 2019.
Okay.
So I've been going for 6 years, and just to see how much it's grown and how, amazing it is to see all the brilliant creative work. So
Yeah.
excited to be here.
Yes.
So yes, how we work with creators on Dove. We've been working with a lot of our partners for the long term. Many of our brand community have been with us for decades. Well, a decade, I should say, since 2017. We're very lucky that we work with a community of people that have the same values as the brand. So they're not distorting their images. They're not using AI. They're speaking about body confidence and self-esteem. That's a very natural fit for us. And I think we're only scaling that up as the years to come by.
So are you out, targeting specific creators, new creators all the time, sort of in that space? Or you said you have sort of your lot that you sort of continue to sort of re-engage with?
Yeah, it actually would be both. So we have like a community of people that, so many of them have worked with us for years. Each year, of course, though, we will meet new creators. As the creator economy is growing, we're going to see more of them online.
Yeah.
So I think for us, really, it's just going to accelerate. We're definitely going to be working with more as the years come by.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Dove is a part of Unilever, which has committed to wanting to work with, I think it's something like 20% more influencers in the coming year or years. So I guess that sort of goes into the question of why not only, a Unilever, a Dove wants to work more with the creators. Why do you think right now Cannes Lion is leaning into creators and really sort of taking a stance at these, dare I say, creators of the future?
Yeah, and actually I think I feel very lucky to be able to work for a business like Unilever, where our CEO really believes the impact of influence marketing.
Yeah.
I think we're very much seeing kind of what I'm calling a paradigm shift right now. We're moving away from solely working with traditional advertising agencies to working with influencers as creative partners on strategy. They're not just the amplifiers of content, they're really helping us build end-to-end campaigns. If I can talk a little bit about a campaign that we've recently launched, it's Share the First, which we've just won a line for, which is amazing.
Apparently
Congrats.
so. That's
Yeah,
so
thank
cool.
you. And it's our first ever global end-to-end creator marketing campaign. It's built around the insight that 9 in 10 women take up to 50 photos before sharing the first. I think probably we all have that universal behavior in us. You know, I know my camera roll is full of photos I haven't shared. And I think for us, like really with that campaign, we worked with a UK-based content creator, Lucy Reeves, to help shape, test, refine the brief before we were able to go live to 100 others across the globe. We had 14 markets live within 14 days. We've hit 1 billion impressions, over 120 million video views.
Wow.
So for us, it was incredible to be able to do that. We had some markets that were able to brief go live within 48 hours. I think that goes back to the point of having those creators that have worked with us for the long term. They're already contracted with us on the brand. They speak about the brand frequently. It's very easy for us to be able to do that and then go live very quickly. I think if we had to go out and search for a new community, briefing, contracting, that takes time. We wouldn't be able to get campaigns out as fast as we need to. And especially in a kind of social first world where we're seeing kind of trends pop up each week, each month, it's important for us to be able to move very quickly and, you know, stay very relevant and part of culture.
Well, I think just to piggyback on that a little bit, it's just interesting. We've had some folks from the agency side here, and it's, you know, there's been, you know, and we've heard this previous is like, you know, brands not really understanding how to work with creators or letting them do their thing. And it sounds like one of the ways you've sort of solved that for that is having like really deep relationships with creators and trusting them to let them do their thing because you know it's going to be for the best of, you know, it's going to put the brand in the best possible sort of light.
Absolutely. And I think like we very much have to give up that control as a brand. We call it a little bit freedom within a framework on Dove.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is often with our briefs, we'll only give 2 key messages to the content creator. They know what works best for their following, their community. They're the ones that will bring that real emotion, real storytelling, and that's what drives the performance for the content. So I think being able to do that and having a community who've been partners with us for the long term is super beneficial for us as a brand.
Yeah, very cool.
It sounds like you have a pretty well thought out system designed around working with creators. What percent of, you said now you just won a line for one of your first end-to-end creator marketing campaigns. What percent of the like total pie chart of your campaigns does that type of initiative represent? And where do you think that's going in the future?
Yeah, I think we're only going to accelerate that model. It was a first for us on Dove. So I think that's kind of super exciting for us, but we've got kind of far to go with it. I think when we kind of thought about doing that, we took the best performing content off social and put it into 64 digital outdoor screens at Liverpool Street Station in London. That was a little bit of an experiment for us. You know, we hadn't done that before. It meant there was no casting, no production shoots, no long edit. So actually we were able with speed to take content and put it in an outdoor. And I think the outdoor had an additional like 4 million audience delivery.
Wow.
So I think for us, as well as the 1 billion impressions we're getting, we're also able to reach new audiences in a different place. We've actually done the similar thing in Nice. If you flew into the airport, in the international arrivals lounge, we've taken, I think it's 44 screens at the airport with content from creators from the campaign Share the First. So it's really kind of ongoing in terms of the way we're going to be able to operate. And I think, you know, moving forward, we'll continue to work with creators, not just to shape campaigns, but to shape innovations. We launched last year a product innovation in the US called Dove Hair Therapy. It was a scalp scrub, or part of the product range included a scalp scrub. And the insights we got from doing what I call like workshops with our creators, these are with the brand VPs, our head of R&D. We're showing them packaging designs. We're going through fragrance, texture, getting the feedback from the content and creator community. We shaped a whole innovation from that.
Wow.
Most scalp scrubs come in a screw top, really messy in the bathroom, gets everywhere. Actually, from that workshop, we completely reshaped the innovation. It comes out in a squeezy bottle because of the thinking, the voices in the room that had shared that with us. That just wouldn't be possible to be able to do that without that community. And these aren't just sessions, you know, on Teams online. Like we're sitting there in a room for a day, if not longer, like really digging deeper. I think for us on Dove, everything really starts with listening. So important to kind of do that, and we'll continue to so in the future.
I literally did the same. I worked at, I ran Facebook and Instagram creator partnerships, and we used to bring creators in to do the same thing and sit them in front of, product and get feedback and
there's
stuff.
something so powerful about having so many different voices in the room.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to they're our consumers as well.
Yeah.
Like they know what they want to purchase, but more importantly, they know what their community wants
Exactly.
to do as well. So I think for us, it's a very exciting space.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So what kind of conversations are you having here at Cannes now that you wouldn't have had even 1 year ago?
Yeah, I think very much the spotlight being on creator marketing, creators as collaborators, not just kind of amplifiers of the content, and how we can really scale up and accelerate strategy. I think for us, it's been super exciting to be able to meet with lots of different agency partners. We hosted our own Dove event and activation at the Creator Rooftop yesterday. We hadn't done that before. I think we had 200 creators attend. And it was very much a social-led experiment or activation, with that team. So I think for us, that's where we're going to be headed in the future. Really looking at how we work with creators to co-collaborate. How do we really accelerate that strategy, bring them in deeper? I think we have the relationships, but what more can we do? It's definitely what we're looking at.
And then what do you foresee the types of conversations you'll have here in the next 3 to 5 years, say? Or what conversations would you like to have in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think for me, it's got to say, how does the creator economy continue to accelerate and scale? We're seeing more investment in the creator marketing space. I think we're going to see more and more creative built with creators. So not just them being featured in the assets, but building, designing them. Communities will scale up. I've heard a little bit this week around fandoms and communities, which is super important, I think, for a brand like Dove. Many of our women, we build a community around sisterhood, how we're looking at amplifying and sharing stories with each other, really lifting each other up. So I just hope we continue on that positive trajectory and really see that big focus on social.
Just to, you seem like a brand who's really figured out how to work with creators. Is there anything you could say how creators can work well or better with brands? It seems like, again, you've really figured out a really great kind of machine that's working really well. But I think that's also a fair question to see how creators can work well with brands.
Yeah, I think I go back to the point I said around listening. I think for us, we need to listen to the creator and hear their feedback. So we want to hear thoughts from them. I think kind of push us a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of with the outdoor experiment, outdoor assets for Share the First, we had that conversation with our creator community. We had 3 of them actually go down to Liverpool Street organically, film that content. One of them took their kids down there. And actually that was something that I wasn't expecting to see at all. So I think for us, continuing that relationship is super exciting for us.
Amazing. That's it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Cannes.
Thank
Excited
you.
to see all of the campaigns in the future.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. This was great. Lauren, I'm not being hyperbolic or disingenuous when I say this. I think those conversations were amazing.
They were amazing, and they're kind of conversations we don't normally have on this podcast.
Yeah.
I really liked speaking about sort of to a brand specifically, and all the work they're doing at Dove. I thought that was really awesome.
Everybody just had incredible insights, and we were blessed to have. Thank you to Cannes for having us here.
Specifically, Tosh Naidu at Cannes, who's been amazing and helped us secure all these guests and get this amazing room. Thank you so much. We're so excited. Can't wait to come back next year. Hint, hint.
Thank you so much again to Shaina Zuffer, Val DiFebo, Sarah Potter, and Ed Davidson for joining us. Really, again, just fantastic insights and takeaways.
Great conversations.
Yeah.
All right, now we go Cannes until we can't can anymore. Oh my God, that was so good.
We got through an entire episode in France without Lauren attempting to speak French once.
Oh, monsieur, je suis désolée. J'ai faim, j'ai soif, et il fait chaud maintenant. Mon pantalon are linen. It's very exciting. Je suis très contente d'être ici avec toi. All right, Josh, c'est fini. We did it.
Lauren, I think we did. I'll see you out on La Crusette, just trying to speak French and getting English responses.
Bon oui.
And if not there, next week on Creator Upload. Today's show was produced by Lauren Schnipper, Joshua Cohen, that's me, and Adam Connor. It's edited by Adam Connor too. Original music is by London Bridge. You can check him out on Instagram at London Bridge Music. Make sure you subscribe to Creator Upload right here on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, as well Spotify, or wherever you're listening. While you're there, give us a rating and leave us a comment. If you want to talk, hit us up at info@creatorupload.com. If you like our show, recommend it to a friend. If you love it, just tell everyone. Thanks for listening to Creator Upload, and we will be back next week.